Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And this episode, we're going to be talking about gaming online versus gaming in person. Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And we're going to talk a little bit about gaming online versus gaming in person. And kind of advantages, disadvantages, and some of the other things.
Yeah.
You know, things that we've experienced and things that we've heard through other online channels.
Mm-hmm.
So, advantages of gaming in person.
Well, the thing is D&D was a social experience where people got together in groups and they got to interact, personably.
Yeah, it was almost like people getting together to play bridge back in the 40s.
It was a game that people played kind of like, because believe it or not, back in the old days, people used to get together a couple times a month and play poker or play bridge or play pinochle.
Scrabble or
yeah,
whatever.
And so that was a way to become socialized with your neighbors, with your friends, and reinforcing relationships. Remember those things? Reinforcing relationships? So the advantages of gaming in person is that essentially you're going down that same road. You're reinforcing relationships with people. And not that I can say that the people we've gained with have always been our friends, but for as long as they've gained with us, they've been generally friendly.
Yeah.
And so it is an exercise in social interaction, which I think is sorely lacking in the world we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, there were people that we got to know that we found how disadvantaged they were outside of the gaming group, and they maybe didn't have a lot of food. And so when it came to the holidays, we would invite them over for a meal with us.
Yeah.
Break bread.
Yeah, give them a home cooked meal and then a nice, stress free afternoon or evening, and a lot of times it works out pretty good because people remember those things. They remember the goodness that people visit upon them. So the advantages of being in person is that you're sitting around a table, you're laughing, you're interacting, you're telling stories, you're playing,
you're building camaraderie,
and you feel more of that tangible glue that holds your team together as you're playing. It's like a teamwork building exercise. And so I find that to be a great advantage. But there's got to be some disadvantages too,
Well, disadvantages if you get somebody who's just totally socially inept.
Socially inept, or a person who's antisocial. Now, we've had people in our group before who you wonder how they can make it through life without ending up in jail or attacking people. The hostility just seems to just emanate off them like heat from a furnace.
Yeah.
Or the fact that they're so desocialized as an individual that they really don't know how to act around other people.
Yeah. Another disadvantage is it's really hard to get people to get together once a week or once every other week or once a month.
Yeah.
On a schedule to game.
Yeah, things happen. Families come together. Sports gets in the way. Other actions. Playing games on a computer. A lot of that stuff satisfies people's social urges. So a lot of people feel that they don't actually need that much social interaction anymore. Once they get out of work or they come back from a sporting event or something like that, they've done their social interaction for the week and they don't need to get together with people to play a game. No. So, that's kind of a disadvantage to a lot of people, is that you actually do have to show up. You actually do have to interact. And a lot of people find that difficult. They really do.
Or they don't want to distance themselves from their family, or they can't distance themselves. Their family's got this going on or that going on.
Yeah,
and,
making time
having their kids.
Making time's not easy.
I got to take little Johnny to the baseball game, to the soccer game, to the hunter safety course. I got to take little Susie to ballerina class, to brownies, to
everything. So making that time to showing up in person sometimes is not really that important for some people. They just feel like it's not worth it. I just don't feel dedicated to the game. I don't feel dedicated to my other co-players. I'm just going to go home and play some game online, or I'm just going to sit and watch TV, or I'm going to, go putt around the garden, whatever. I mean, it's kind of like a hobby. How much time do you give to your hobby?
Yeah.
It kind of depends on how important you think camaraderie and social interaction is. And friendships used to really, really be important to people. They would have friends that would last their entire lives. But now, as our world is becoming more fragmented, we don't, a lot of times we don't have friendships that last more than a few months, or a few years, or an instance or two at work, and then after that you just don't see
a decade at most.
Yeah, you don't see people too much anymore. So,
yeah. Now, advantages for playing online. Well, it's easier to get a lot more people because now they don't have to drive an hour to get to where they want to play. Yeah,
they can just all sit down at the computer, and they could, join the group. It's like joining a chat group. Yeah. They're joining a game group, that sort of thing. And it makes it, easier for everybody to role play because they can essentially just inhabit this role, and they can play online, and you don't know who you're playing with really. They can just, talk to you, or type what they're doing or something like that. And no one has to be in the same room. They can be 1,000 miles apart, and you can have 8 people who are 8,000 miles apart.
You may never see their face.
You may never see their face or know anything about them, yet you can still play. So if you really do want to play the game and you're dedicated to playing it, then one way to get more players and to get more advantages of all these players together is to do it online.
Yeah.
Now, we just kind of recently started this.
I've done a little bit more online than Tom because I've played some 5e online. And what was interesting is 3 or 4 of them were actually from the state that we live in. Mm-hmm. Like one might have, actually, all of us might have been from the same state. I can't remember. There might have been one that was outside. But we also play an online Blades in the Dark game.
Yeah.
That we're all kind of scattered through the western United States, Arizona.
Yeah. Time zones.
Yeah. And it's kind of even been tricky with that because sometimes getting everybody together, even for 3 hours, has been kind of hard sometimes. Well, we skip a month or a month and a half because things come up.
It's also, to me, online gaming, because you don't have the personal interaction, to me, I don't feel like I'm that invested in it. I really don't. As much as I enjoy it, I don't feel that I'm invested in it. I don't feel that I'm invested in having friends over, interacting with them, having a meal, talking, small talk, whatever. I feel that that's an investment.
Yeah.
But online gaming, to me, even if you are meeting in a group to play, I don't feel that I'm that invested, and I feel that a lot of people probably are the same way. They could just take it or leave it. No, I could play my D&D group tonight or not. I mean, it kind of depends. So you have to kind of come up with this, whether or not you want to invest in that.
Yeah. So that's some of the advantages there. It's easier to kind of get together with people, and you can get people from all over the world.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be a disadvantage because now you might have communication problems, or equipment problems.
We've had tech problems.
We've had tons of tech problems in our Blades in the Dark game, where somebody's sound's not working, or this isn't working, or whatever.
Well, another advantage of online gaming is you get to play like maybe unusual game systems.
Games that you don't normally get to play.
Games that you don't normally get to play. So let's say you live in a kind of a medium-sized town, and everybody around that town likes to play D&D, but they don't want to play Space Attack or something like that.
Yeah.
Starship.
Mothership.
Okay. You want to play Mothership, though. You read the book. It was so cool. You brought it up at the D&D, and everybody's like, nah, can I play a Space Wizard? You're like, no. Can I play a Space Elf?
Can I play a dragon?
Can I play a dragon?
Can I play a dolphin?
Can I play a space dolphin? It's like, no, you can't play a space dolphin. That kind of thing. But you can go online and meet people from other areas of the country who are just as interested in Mothership as you, and you can play with them. Yeah. Now, that is a huge advantage of online gaming, is you can make connections and play these games. Okay? Games like Call of Cthulhu, The One Ring, Dragon Age, all that stuff that you may not have anybody local who want to play it, but you can meet up with people from England, Europe, East Coast, West Coast.
It's easier to find a game.
Yeah, a lot easier to find a game, and now there's setups like Discord and
Discord. There's Roll20. There's Fantasy Grounds.
Fantasy Grounds. All these places where you can have almost like a clearinghouse for all the games that you can play.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of an advantage towards that.
Yeah. So that is a big advantage.
Yeah.
Is it's easier to find a game.
Mm-hmm.
Find a group. But kind of some of the disadvantages, it may cost you.
Yeah.
You may pay $20, $25, $30 per session.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're playing every week, that adds up.
It can
big
add
time.
up. It can add up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So pay to play. Well, I understand that people may do it. This is my time. I'm putting a lot of time in this. I'm a DM. I want to create a gaming scenario for all these people. I should be able to get something back from it besides just the pleasure of making an online gaming scenario. You might think, well, I should be able to get some financial recompense, for creating this game, for running it, from doing all this work. And I understand.
DMing can be hard work.
DMing is hard work, and you don't just do it for pleasure. If you don't want to, you could make it a business opportunity. This could be a franchise system you have. Now, disadvantages to that is that a lot of people can get kind of resentful that they have to pay you money to do something that essentially they could just buy the game system and play it.
Especially if it's not a good game.
Yeah, and what if they're disappointed in what's going on? Do you feel like you've got to please everybody every time you play?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got to have all the right number of dragons, all the right number of hits? What if someone dies? Are they ever going to come back to your game after that? They're like, what? You killed me? Click, they're off. And then that's it.
Yeah, see, I personally, and this is my personal opinion, is I've been gaming since 1979. And I guess I'm really old school on that. And I could never fathom charging my players even $5 to DM and run a game for them. I couldn't do it. I guess my morals are such that I just feel bad charging somebody to run a game that I'm having fun in.
Yeah, but that's you.
Right, that's me.
But there are people who look at this as like, this could be a business opportunity for me.
Yeah.
If I run a game every day.
And I'm charging, well, if I have, let's say I have 5 people in my group, and I'm charging them $20 each per session, okay? Well, that's $125 for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Of gaming, okay? And you do that every week.
I mean, that's a side hustle. It really is.
Yeah.
That's a side hustle. Okay.
Yeah.
It's money making. It's a franchise. We live in a franchise economy where everybody wants to be a business owner and have their own franchise, whether it's a sandwich shop or some kind of a manufactory or something like that. Your D&D side hustle could be as a game master,
right.
And you could make a lot of money at it. You could make a lot of money at it.
Professional dungeon master.
So my question then. Are you dedicated to the game, or are you just doing it because it's a business? Do you really care about it as a game?
Do you care about your players?
Do you really care about your players? Do you care about providing a great gaming experience, or are you just reading off from a canned module? Do you really care about, how the story goes? Is it part of your life? Is it part of creating, is satisfying your creative impulse? Or is it just a way to make a fast buck?
Yeah. To me, it's, part of the advantages that we were talking about, the camaraderie of having my players there, and seeing the looks on their face, or hearing their voice and their face when something happens. The shock of oh gee, I died, because of whatever. Oh wow, I critted that monster and I took him down with one hit. You get that. You see the looks on their faces.
Exactly.
Whereas online, you may not see that.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out that way. You can kind of imagine what they're doing, what they might look like, but it doesn't always work out that way. I'll say one thing about disadvantages of online gaming. Now, one of the reasons that this kind of popped up is for us to do
And Tom
that.
wanted to talk about this episode.
Yeah, for on this episode is we've been watching a few people post about instances of online bullying and harassment during games, where specifically some young ladies have been, their contribution to the game has been diminished, they've been belittled, they've been harassed, and this has happened behind the walls of anonymity. In other words, if you're just a voice over a microphone 3 time zones away, it's a whole lot easier to abuse and harass somebody, and belittle them than it is
And get away with it.
and get away with it than if you're sitting in the same room with them.
Because it's not like somebody could call the cops on you, or
Right.
For verbal assault or
Yeah.
mental or physical.
Yeah. And so one of the things, like in our game groups, have always been pretty mature, but we've had some issues where people have shown up and they've misbehaved.
Yeah.
And I've always looked at it this way: is if we get someone who misbehaves or someone who, bullies or belittles a character, they're out the door.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll never tolerate that.
Yeah.
I'm old school. My home is my castle. If your behavior doesn't come up to my standards, I'll put my boot sideways up your ass and you're going right out the door. That's
Yeah.
all the way. That's all there is to it.
And you kind of have to wonder about a dungeon master who would allow that to happen, even in an online game. What maturity level do they have?
Yeah.
Especially the story that we were hearing was they were actually standing up for this person, saying, "Oh, they were role playing," and it's like you're out of line. It's like,
that's not role playing. Abusing, harassing, or belittling another character. That's not role playing, especially when that person felt like they were being attacked. And I know it went back and forth, but if you're a DM, you're essentially in charge of what's happening in the group, okay? And if you've got a character who's misbehaving, you either got to put the brakes on it, all right? Or you got to kick them out of the group, or you got to make it as if, okay, this is never going to happen again. I'm going to apologize to the rest of the group. This player was out of line. We just can't have this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're never going to have players. They're not going to come back to your game, and why should they? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of sparked this idea of what is not necessarily better, but what would be more advantageous to a group, to have an in-person group or have an online group, because you can obviously see that they've got advantages and disadvantages both ways. But what works best one way or the other? I think a lot of times people can abuse and harass behind the wall of anonymity, trolling people. We have that now in our society. Before the internet, before social media, Delaney and I are old enough now to remember that we never had that.
No.
No, there was no such thing as trolling. All right, somebody trolled you, they got a fist in the face. That was all there was to it. It's not like you don't abuse and harass somebody like that. You don't get away with that. But now it's so much part of our culture that poor young people commit suicide over cyberbullying. And it's just terrible.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is just horrid. And I think because people can hide behind the wall of anonymity, they can get away with it. And I think that's terrible.
Yeah. And Tom's got, a very strong point there, about, suicide. People get bullied and they kill themselves because of it. And that's just wrong. Gaming is supposed to be about fun. And whether it's an in-person game or an online game, nobody should ever be bullied in the game.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're a DM who allows somebody to bully somebody, in this instance, this person was snoring when the person was trying to do something.
Yeah.
Or making other odd noises. Or telling them, what they did is stupid. You don't use that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that kind of terminology, that kind of abusive and harassing terminology has no place in a game group.
Yeah.
And it's kind of up to the DM to enforce that. It really is, to enforce standards of behavior. Now we've done episodes before about standards of behavior.
Right.
And this is just another
house
aspect
rules.
of that.
It's kind of house rules can
House
go
rules.
into the gaming.
Yeah.
Into the online gaming.
They sure can.
And really, they should be set there before somebody joins a game. And they're usually, some of them are.
Yeah.
But not all of them.
Yeah.
That online bullying and things like that will not be acceptable by anybody.
I mean, that's just a basic standard that I think everybody should have, especially when we try to interact. Remember, the whole point of gaming is to have fun.
Right.
If you're not having fun, then there's probably some issues there.
Right, and that may drive that person away from gaming altogether.
Exactly.
So, anyway, we're going to end this episode of Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
Let us know what you think about gaming online versus gaming in person. I am not against gaming online. I'm actually against paying money to play a game online.
I'm not against gaming online either. I just think that your social interaction sometimes can be worth a lot more.
I mean, to me, like I said, it would be like my players coming in, and I'm like, okay, that's $25 a piece. I'm sorry, but I couldn't do that.
Pay at the door.
Yeah.
Buy your ticket, pay at the door as you come in.
Yeah. So anyway, we want to hear what your thoughts are on this. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, spread the word, ring the bell, follow us on Discord, send us an email. If you make a comment, we will reply. It may be a simple reply, but we will always reply to your comment. So anyway, may all your adventures be epic.
And keep on rolling, folks.
Thanks, folks.